Hi class, this is Professor Teixeira, and this is a video about an introduction to operations management. It's just for you to have an idea about what this class is about. So let's move on here. Um, so I'm gonna use our day-to-day like decisions of purchases we make to try to make a connection between what we do in our lives and operations management. So here we have a shopping mall and we have stores and we purchase many of our products for directly in stores, but nowadays we also make online purchases every time we buy through our computers, through the internet, from online sellers. So we buy all these products that we get almost every day, but where do we get these products from? Where do they come from? They have to be produced, and as we can see here, we have raw materials like iron ore, and we have, uh, I don't know, wheat and rice and all these agricultural products. And they have these products have to can be turned into products so we can purchase them, right? So these stores buy products from manufacturing companies that buy raw materials from suppliers. Okay, these products are also moved to through ships or airplanes or trucks and are stored on warehouses before going to the stores so we can purchase them. This process of turning raw material into products is what operations management is concerned about. So what operations management is the part of a business organization that is responsible for producing goods or services. Okay, how we can define operations management? Basically, what we're going to do through this entire class is learn techniques and management processes and other like ways to make this raw material, to turn raw material into products more efficiently. Okay, so the management of what's operations management is the management of system or processes that create goods and or provide services. So that's what we're going to learn in this class. Some of these processes, some of these systems that help to turn raw material into products. Again, here's another demonstration of the elements involved in the production management, production operations management. We're going to focus mostly on manufacturing. However, I also want to call attention to the other parts of this process, which is the supply chain. Um, so we have to transport the products and the raw material, and that's the transportation side. We have to store the finished products and the finished raw or the raw material or the working process products, work in progress products in warehouses. So this is part of the supply chain, part of the process of not only producing, but also delivering the product. This is not part of our class. I just want to call attention to that, but that's not part. We're going to focus mostly on the manufacturing processes to create goods and services. So how is the transformation process? We're talking about the transformation process. We have inputs like land, where our like facility is, labor, people coming to work, and money to buy raw material and information about how much we should produce, when we should produce, and so on. Okay. And then we're going to transform these inputs using people, using raw material, getting money to buy machines. That's the value added by that's when the company, the manufacturing company is going to add value to raw material to turn that into products. Okay. And to make this process happen better, we have to have control. We need to know what we're doing, plan, we evaluate if what we plan is being done. And that's the measurement and feedback like processes. After going through this, we're going to always constantly measure if we are doing as planned. Okay. So what is value added? Value added is the difference between the cost of inputs and the price of output. So this is, we pay certain amount of money for inputs, we pay certain amount of money for raw material, and after turning that raw material into a product, we sell that product for a price. So the difference between how much we paid for the inputs and how much we sell our final products, that's how much added value, or how much value we added, or the company added, um, in this operations process. Okay. So operations management must add value to raw materials so we can sell the products for a higher price than what we paid for and make a profit out of this process. This is a bit about Boeing and the transformation process of an airplane. Let's take a look very quickly, just so I can make some comments and we can look. So this is Boeing. We have, so we see that they are like transporting, that's the part of transportation I told you. And now is the process of turning a raw material, like they get all these, let's say these parts and cables. You see cables, we see like a lot of metal and other plastic material. That's turning plastic and iron and like into an airplane. Look, we're getting cables like wires and turning into an airplane. So this is the operations process. See many parts made of plastic, and you see people going in and using different parts, different materials to make a Boeing. I think that's very interesting. And you see that we have the assembly line, which is always moving, because the assembly line helps to determine the pace to which the company has to produce, because there's a plan of how many airplanes to produce per day. So they have to keep going. So let's go, guys. Let's keep going. Again, we have seats that can maybe of the same material. We have a sofa at home. We have in our cars seats that go into airplane. So that same raw material can be a sofa, can be a car, is an airplane. Now painting, the same painting process we have maybe in our car, in an airplane. Probably the airplane is going to be way more like, let's say, maybe different to last. For example, the temperatures, the extreme temperatures that airplanes go through. But you see that it's paint, then that's the paint is adding value to this airplane. So that's an entire like Boeing process. Like, of course, we didn't, it's a 2-minute video just for you to have an idea about what production and operations management is. And the final product, that's all right. So let me go back to, okay. And okay, that's was an example for an airplane, and I was calling attention to the supply chain. And I just want to make the distinction between operations management. Oops, let me see what's going on in the background. I'm so sorry. I want to call this attention for the distinction between operations and supply chain. Supply chain is more concerned about suppliers and the movements of goods and information. And that's what is happening. Like we have the raw material, then the raw material is turned into like a semi-finished product, which is stored in a warehouse and then goes to the manufacturing company. And all this movement is made through different modes of transportation. And at the end, we have people buying the final products. So supply chain is more concerned about suppliers and movement of goods, raw material, and information. And operations management is concerned about the manufacturing process inside a company to turn this raw material into a product, right? Again, supply chain, a sequence of activities and organizations involved in producing and delivering a good or service. So the focus of supply chain is suppliers, relationship with suppliers, direct suppliers, supplier of suppliers, and then the producer, and then how to distribute, which how many warehouses, how is going to be our distribution centers, and then finally the retailers and the final customers. So supply chain is concerned about everything. Operations management is concerned about with the production of the producer, the production process. Why study operations management or supply chain management? Is because every aspect of business affects or is affected by operations. Everything that the company does in terms of operations management, for example, money, finance, financial aspect of the company is affected by the need to buy raw material, the money we need to buy raw material, investment in capacity, how many machines the company is going to buy, what is the size of facility, that involves money, how many people are going to hire, but how much is going to be the wage of this people that's affected by is going to affect our finance. Marketing, if we produce too much and we have too much inventory, too much stock, like finished products waiting to be sold, then marketing has to come in and then develop a marketing campaign, promotion, and maybe give discounts, find ways of selling the excess inventory we have, some companies have. And for accounting, all information that we have about what's happening with the company selling and buying raw materials, selling products has to go to accounting. So the company can account how much is it costing to make it the price for the products really what is necessary so the company don't lose money. So accounting has to be there all the time to check and measure and make sure that the right prices that company is paying for raw material and how much is selling to is going to incur in a profit. And information technology, because we have to store all this raw material, we have to keep tracking of people working, we have to keep track of how much we're producing, and then we have to record all this information computers and then information technology is a key piece of that. So operations management is really affects everything in a company. Also, it creates the outputs that customers pay for. So it's important operations management because that's the product that we're gonna sell for customers, and also helps to create the competence to perpetuate the business. So, for example, we have Apple. Apple is really competent in developing products that are, let's say, well designed, that last long, that have a perceived high quality. So Apple has this competence. Now we have Tesla that is building competence on electric vehicles. We saw Boeing that has competence on airplanes. So companies, they develop this competence of doing things through operations management, to managing their operations, through learning how to turn raw material into something that has value for people. That's what Tesla is doing, right? All car manufacturers were there producing vehicles. Then Tesla came and used the electric, let's say, kind of feel to make electric vehicles that everyone wants to buy, everyone wants to purchase at a very high price. That's adding value. And the same thing for I like Apple a lot because Apple gets aluminum, which is available to everyone, and turns into a product that many people want and at a very high price. That's adding value. That's creating, having competence that helps the company to keep doing what they do. And also is the cost, operations management and the supply chain management are the costliest part of a business. So imagine all the money that Apple has, because Apple has to purchase all raw material to produce, for example, the iPhones and the laptops and iPads and everything. So they have to buy this from suppliers. So that's a lot of money. in the operations and purchasing aspect of the company. Same thing for Tesla, same thing for any company. A lot in purchasing because they have to purchase all raw material, all products these companies produce. They come from part of them come from suppliers, and you have to buy those parts. So let's take a look at Boeing. Look how many parts we saw in that Boeing video. Is wires and seats and like plastic for like all internal parts of the airplane. Then you have the aluminum and everything. That's cost a lot of money. All comes from purchasing. So all goes through operations. Is the costliest part of a business, and also is the most complex because, as you see in the Boeing case, all these parts have to be, let's say, put in the airplane in the right time at the right moment. And we see there the assembly line moving the airplane, so it cannot stop and make it okay. Let's produce at the time we want. No, it has a time. The airplane is moving. We have to finish because other people is coming. We have to produce this airplane in one day. I don't know if that's the case, but that's what the assembly line is doing, forcing the teams to produce the airplane in a certain amount of time, so we can keep producing according to what we planned for, because we have to deliver these airplanes. So we sold these airplanes. These airplanes have to be delivered to the airline companies. So it's very complex, and that's the reason operations management is big, and supply chain is also very big nowadays. Okay, so this comes from our class notes, the free textbook that we have, and is just an example that we have. This blue line is what is called interorganizational boundary. This means that this is where the company ends. So everything that's outside this boundary is the supplier. Everything that is outside this boundary is the customers, are the like supply side and customer side. Everything within these boundaries is the company, is the manufacturing facility, for example. And then we're going to have procurement, which is purchasing. We have to know how much to purchase from our suppliers. And then we're going to have a material requirements planning for how much material we need, and then using this material to produce products using our plants and equipment. And then we have the sales and operations planning how much we're going to sell, and for example, how many finished goods we're going to have in the warehouses stored waiting to be sold. And then we have the sales and distribution. So these are the many processes in operations management that we are going to cover. We're not going to cover procurement, because that I teach a class on purchasing and supply chain, which talks about procurement a lot. So this is not covered in this class, but we're going to cover the MRP, planning for materials. You're going to cover the production process, the sales and operations planning, which involves forecasting, and sales and distribution. Also, these processes are supported by other processes, such as quality management. We have to keep controlling how the quality of the processes are. In quality sometimes mean, are we producing what we the way we intend to produce? Do we have quality? Are we free of errors? Are we free of mistakes in our process? Our products are free of like defects. We're going to cover quality management in a specific module, and it's really big. It's a really big topic. And then we have the controlling aspect, the financial management. We're not going to cover financial management, project management. We're not going to cover this, but I just want to make you aware that there are many these are supporting activities for this core process, which turn raw material into products. Okay, and that's all. That's all for this video. Thank you.